NaToSaphiX. A new season and a new year have begun. What is the dream scenario for you to happen this year?
That's a very good question. I think like the first kind of dream scenario that I can have is just one where I have a team. I have been, I would say, been let down a lot. I have had a few times now where I've been sort of told that I have a sure thing, and then for some reason or another, the organization has withdrawn the offer, basically. Um, and yeah, I mean, honestly, what I've just been wanting for a long time is like a team where I can sit down and work and then get better day by day. And that's yeah proven to be quite difficult. So, but I do also with how hard it is to find a team during Corona and so on. I think I also have to start looking at what other options I have than being a player, simply because I have so little playing time, and it's tough when you don't have a team and a job, because you still have to pay rent and you still have to all those things. So it's possible, at least I will go into casting again, or taking my stream more seriously or something, and then having that as sort of a for now, um, like a sort of backup plan, so that if I find out that I enjoy that more than playing itself, then I will be able to go with that, and then I will already have some like experience. It's not so much that I'm super upset about the missed opportunities, because that can always happen. And I have also had a lot of teams also recently where I have been basically second choice. So like really, really good teams where I've had meetings and I've had all those things. And then it turns out that between me and another guy, it's the other guy. That has happened like 4 times, I think, within the last few months. And for me, it's not so much, I mean, it's completely okay in a lot of these situations that, there are two players, you pick the other guy over me, that can always happen. But for me, recently, what it has been is that it's the way it's been done that I don't really like. And the reason why that's actually sort of steering me a little bit away from playing as a professional player is because I'm not losing faith in my own abilities, and I'm not losing faith in CS:GO as a game, because I think that's just better than Valorant or something like that. Um, but it's making me lose faith in the CS:GO industry in a way. For me, it's just navigating sort of the jungle that is the lower tier of CS:GO. I don't even think I'm like asking for too much, or yeah, like I'm being unreasonable or being unprofessional. I think I'm acting in yeah in decent ways for sure. Um, but there's a certain professionalism that is lacking in the lower tiers, and yeah, ultimately, I think if I were to end my career at some point within the next 1 or 2 years, um, that would 100% be the reason. It would just be that yeah, it's too much sort of stress outside the game to actually have zero job security, and that you can get promised a contract and then still not get it. Stuff like that shouldn't happen, and I actually feel um, very sad, and I feel very, in a way, also disgusted that yeah, now I'm really grabbing it and running. I'm talking for a long time about this, but I've been thinking about it a lot. And me, I'm 25 years old. I've been sort of in the industry for a long time, so I'm also kind of used to it. I'm used to having the thought that, well, even if they've told you you have a contract, nothing is said before you sign it. I've always had that, or at least since I got uh, yeah screwed over the first time. Um, but when I'm not even thinking about myself, I think it's so upsetting to me that there will be like a 16, 17, 18-year-old out there who doesn't know that that is how it works, and who will maybe lose out on a big opportunity, or or start making life choices based on it, and then get screwed over in the last second. And I just don't want that in my game. CS:GO should be better than that. And yeah, unfortunately, the culture is also that you sort of keep these things behind closed doors, right? So no matter how hard you get screwed, if you tell it, your career gets fucked. I think that's horrible, honestly, and it makes like playing a really stressful affair. So yeah, that's I could write a book about that, but again, because of me still wanting to pursue a career and it being sort of unprofessional to be like a whistleblower type guy, then I will keep most of the info to myself. I don't exactly know how it has evolved into this, but I think it's always been the thing. Even I can remember like 5 or 6 years ago, before I even had my first professional contract, I got offered a contract, and it was honestly in that moment not that the organization was sort of screwing us over, but it was more that we knew coming into it that this organization had already screwed over another lineup and were not paying on time. They were not blah 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 blah. And so because of that, we felt like we couldn't sign the contract because even though we would sign the contract, it would give us zero security. We wouldn't know if we would actually be getting paid.
Do you think it's a general problem in the CS:GO? Maybe you mentioned the lower tiers, but it's not just you. Do you think it's a general problem?
I would be very surprised if it isn't, because it has happened to me so many times, even from some like big organizations, where it's not always that they just, I don't know. Sometimes it's just, that they don't pay on time. Sometimes it's, I think we've seen it also with multiple organizations, right? Even some of the kind of big organizations where I think it happens a lot, honestly. But like, for me recently, it was even the case that I thought, for example, I had a really this has kind of been happening behind the scenes. Um, I thought I had a lineup that I could play with. I had already pretty much discussed a salary and so on. And then we practiced actually for a month, and we started before the break was over. We started already practicing. So we practiced, for like a month. We definitely had some issues. Like I had some internet issues that I've finally fixed after like 9 months or something. But we spent a month of our time basically on this project, and I was not streaming, so that was, followers lost, money lost, so on. And then after the month, they just stopped responding all of a sudden. You know, I definitely feel like I'm wasting my time as a free agent, and that's what like also sort of hurts. It's like also always a race with time in a way, that like it's the balance. You want to get a good team and a good salary so you can live, but at the same time, on the other hand, you want like how can I say it? You want also not to pick like a if you join a team that is sort of too bad or too far below you, you almost automatically get taken down a step, because um, let's just use tier 1 to 3 as an example, right? If you're a tier 1 player and you go out from there and you take a team that's tier 3, you have to fight your way back up to tier 2 and then fight your way back up to tier 1. Whereas if you're a tier 1, you get to tier 2, you start playing well, you will probably go up again. It's kind of like taking steps down on a ladder, right? So like you want to play, but you also know that if you take too many steps down the ladder, you might never come back up.
Are you still dedicated to continue playing as a pro CS:GO player, or could you see yourself do something else in the future, or maybe near future?
Well, I am at least feeling like I'm at a crossroads of sorts, because you can't work as a pro CS:GO player if you don't get the offers, and I do get the offers, which is great. But a lot of them are just I'm at a point right now where all of them have a negative, which is kind of okay. But like one of them maybe has like a low salary where I feel like, okay, this would not be enough for me to sort of comfortably live off of it. Or like one of them, I have to play a shit role, like something that I'm not currently interested in. You know that, like, again, talking about the steps on the ladder, I don't want to take like 2 steps down the ladder and then also switch my role completely. Then it's even harder to fight your way back up, right? Or maybe there's a team that have like good salary, but they don't have the right players. Basically, there's like a lot of things there.
Could you be willing to go down to a tier 3 maybe and fight your way back up if the setup and your roles suited you?
Yeah, most definitely. Like for me, I have even been thinking about yeah, like a lot of things, of course. But I think if I were to join a team, unless some sort of really nice offer comes in, what I would honestly like to do is just join a Danish team, kind of like I did with Lyngby. Some team that is decent and that I can sort of believe in, but that is not quite there yet. Then join them, let's say as an AWP player, come in and just like I did with Lyngby, just destroy everyone in like the Danish league, and just show that I am better. You know, like back then you had Copenhagen Flames, you had like Tricked, you had all those guys and stuff, and yet like I just felt like I was completely destroying them every game. I want that back, you know. So I have thought a lot about the Danish scene because it's a place where I know I can kind of trust people. Like also the organizations, they're not gonna just screw me over the second they get a chance. I know I have the talent. I know that I'm good enough. I just need, a team to get me in, give me 2 months and or maybe three. And if after those 2 or 3 months, if I'm not like the best player on the team, then throw me out, Like then I don't even want it because like that's where I am mentally. But I just know I'm good enough. So I just need that one chance. But no matter where I go, I'm not even getting like 2 weeks. It feels like, and in some cases, yeah, I've been promised much more, and it hurts honestly. So yeah.
You say that you're still dedicated, but is there a deadline? What should happen before you pull the plug?
I mean, there isn't really a deadline per se. I am definitely still dedicated. Like now, I've just come home from like a few days away for my girlfriend's birthday. But lately, I'm having like never under 70 hours per 2 weeks, and most of the time, like upwards towards 100. So I'm playing a lot, and I'm really, yeah, spending a lot of time on, yeah, getting better. So I'm really dedicated. In terms of deadline, there isn't really any, but over the years, I have invested a lot of money in the bank, and also crypto has been quite enticing. So I've invested even more money there. Um, but I am at a point now where I am like starting to run out of savings, which is the money that I have for myself outside of my investments, basically. And that could sort of be a deadline because eventually I have to either start taking money from my investments, which I would not like, or I have to find somewhere where I can actually get paid. Um, and it has never really been a thing for me before, at least not for many years. But yeah, for me, it's like, I also need to make money. And with how insanely hard CS has been during Corona, like as a free agent, I just have almost made no money. Like I think I had last year 3 months where I actually got paid any sort of money. Then I'm hoping that lands will come back, and when lands come back, then the sponsors will start coming back, and then all of a sudden there's like a million organizations all looking to build a team, and then I am currently still one of the best free agents available. That could be uh, the save that is there. And that's also why I don't want to put a deadline on it. But eventually, I either have to start like streaming and taking maybe even on some like gambling sponsors or something that I would normally not do so that I can actually live, or I will have to yeah, basically change jobs because being a CS:GO pro player without a team during Corona is awful.
A way to earn money maybe could be this free agent league that you spoke on Twitter. On Twitter, you have talked about this CS:GO free agent league. Can you try to elaborate your thoughts about this?
Yeah. So well, I will just start sort of at the when my thoughts begin. Um, I have obviously been in FPL now for 4 years, and I've quite enjoyed it. But only in some certain times has there actually been like games during the day. It's always, or at least recently, been like between anywhere between 8 and 2 in the night, or maybe 3 in the night. There are games, and some days it's you go there at 8. You're thinking, okay, now I want to play, and then there's no matches. Then the matches start all of a sudden at 10 and end at 1. Then you have like 3 matches played, right? That's a little bit unfortunate. And sometimes, like even just in January, for example, 2 times I had it that I came on wanting to play FPL, and during that day there was not a single game of FPL played. It's like, in my opinion, way too sporadic, and it's just such a small amount of time that the only way you can kind of play it is if, for example, you have a stream like I have, or if you have a team, you play during the day, and then you, let's say, eat dinner, and then when you're done eating dinner, then you have to go and play FPL, and that's your whole day. You can't like socialize with anyone. There's like no work-life balance, right? And that's also why I believe that most of the top tier players are not playing FPL currently. It's because back in the day when FPL was sort of invented, almost everyone could really use like $4,000, right? And and for a lot of people, especially the free agents, that's still the case, right? Like if you win FPL, I think it was $4,000 or something. But a lot of the really top tier players, they probably at this moment has so much money that they don't care about winning it anymore. And there used to be like these grinders like Santares, who was like playing a whole day of Counter-Strike and then playing the whole day of FPL, and always like being in the top. I don't see him there anymore, for example. And I don't know if I'm not saying that that's a money aspect, but it could be. Um, and so I think with me getting older, but also CS getting older as an industry, I'm realizing more and more how important like having a work-life balance is, and that's like why someone like Glaive takes time away from the job when he has a child, right? And why some people burn out and all those things, right? So to avoid that, I thought it would be a great idea to have like a league which is for the people who don't have a job, basically, of which there are so insanely many right now, like more than ever, of like high class free agents. There is an insane amount. They could go into a league together and then they could play against each other during the day. That way, everyone still gets to meet each other. So if you want to start like a team of free agents, you could just go ahead and do that. That's great, in my opinion. So it's a way of meeting new people. But you would then maybe also be able to fight for prizes. I'm sure if you get like the Kenny S's and the Get Rights and the Me's and the MSLs and the so on, right? Um, that actively stream now that they're free agents, basically. If you get all those guys in one league, and they start playing, there will be an insane amount of viewers, and it will be like daytime viewers where you normally only compete with tournaments, basically. And what's so great about that is that you can do that and actually still have like a professional life, which is also what I'm really missing. I have been streaming, but then I've also felt like pressure actually to play FPL during the night because I also didn't want to get removed for inactivity. Now it happened anyway, um, but it's just like that work-life balance is really important, and it's in a way a little bit unfair that like the top tier pros. I mean, it's not unfair; they have obviously earned it, right? But if you compare like a jobless guy during Corona and like a guy in a tier one organization. Those guys, they just play practice and officials mostly right now, like on land, where they're maybe flying out somewhere or they're playing from boot camp or something. Whereas a jobless guy, it's like you have to play during the day because during the day is when you actually have the time. Like your girlfriend or your friends or whatever, they are like um, at their job or at school or something. So that those hours it makes sense to play. But then when those hours are done, then you still have to play. Like in a one time slot where everyone else has time, you have to spend your time playing FPL. And I just think there is like a sort of a big market there right now where you could take all those guys who have this time slot during the day where normal professional players with teams they play, and have them play like a league. I've talked to FPL about it a lot, actually, giving them feedback on like a million different ways I thought that you could get it to work. One of the ideas was also that you could take the players from FPL and then you could like make it so that during the day they could play FPL Challenger. That way you have like a higher tier of you get more FPL players in FPL Challenger to teach the players how to play, but you get also for the guys who are free agents and streamers, they can actually stream something that is like quite competitive. I also thought about having it that you could give the top FPL Challenger players like a day pass kind of thing, so that they could actually come over to FPL during the day. If maybe they had ended in top 20 of FPL Challenger the last month or something. That way you could like have the free agents plus the best players in FPL Challenger come in and play FPL during the day, and then you could even make it so that those FPL Challenger players they could actually win prizes in FPL. That way, there's incentive for them to play. They meet better players. They have a chance at like the really big prize pools and so on, and they have a chance to showcase their talent. Right? I think that would be a great idea. But yeah, none of it basically worked. None of it happened, and I just think those could have been some really sort of easy and also good ways to actually have a very active FPL during the day. The great thing would also be that the FPL Challenger players are not coming in there to most likely steal all the prize money, because if they can only play during the day, there will be players who play during the day and the evening who would then win the prizes most likely. But if some FPL Challenger guy came in and just won all his matches during the day and was just like a beast, he would 100% like be going straight to a team. Plus, he would have a chance at winning prize money. And I think honestly that would be a really really good way of doing it. That's kind of what I had thought. But since that is not happening, I feel like any place could make their own free agent league, put some prizes in, and people like me who stream during the day face it normally. Like if you're a competing platform, I can't really come up with any. It doesn't even have to be a competing platform. It could just be a hub on Face It, right? With prizes and so on. Then yeah, I think it could be great, honestly.